Voters in Florida received threatening emails that purported to be from the Proud Boys. Now, the Proud Boys have denied any involvement in this email, and it looks like the individual or the group of people involved in sending out the emails did a pretty good job covering up who they are, probably using VPNs or other security measures to hide their actual location. But let me give you the details on what the email said, and it specifically went out to registered Democratic voters in the state of Florida. So again, the email that purported to be from the Proud Boys said, "We are in possession of all your information. You are currently registered as a Democrat, and we know this because we have gained access into the entire voting infrastructure. You will vote for Trump on election day, or we will come after you. Change your party affiliation to Republican to let us know you received our message and will comply. We will know which candidate you voted for. I would take this seriously if I were you." So college students also received that email, specifically college students in the state of Florida. And just to give you some information in regard to the metadata that was shared, the emails appear to be following a similar format according to Florida Today and come from the email address info@officialproudboys.com. The domain name for the sender's email, officialproudboys.com, was inactive by Tuesday afternoon, although the site does appear to have been previously affiliated with the Proud Boys group. Internet records show that control over the internet address created in March of 2017 was changed Monday night. So look, I don't know, without a shadow of a doubt that the Proud Boys were behind it. They deny it, but the damage is done, right? The damage here is done to people who will take that email seriously. Not everyone will, and the media is doing a pretty good job in covering this and to talk about how this is a felony. Intimidating voters in the state of Florida is a felony. It is very serious. The emails were sent using an Estonian internet infrastructure. And before I get into more of the technical details, John, I wanted you to kind of shed some light on that.
Yeah, I guess the most surprising thing for me is that the Proud Boys denied doing it. Like, irrespective of whether they did it or not, this is mayhem and they're not claiming responsibility. That's interesting. I mean, I'm sure
it's a felony.
The laws are being broken all the like. Look at the county GOP officials who are putting out those fake ballot boxes. They're breaking state law. They don't seem to care. It's a good point, and certainly they've got enough mayhem that they're unleashing that they don't necessarily need to delve into the mail stuff or the email stuff. I question these a lot because multiple stories like this are popping up in a very short period of time. We spoke about on the Damage Report this morning about one that was being sent to Trump supporters. These letters were being dropped off that very clearly to me were not actually being written by leftists or centrists. And so I worry that this is effectively sort of like a digital false flag. Like it is something that is easy to point to make the other side look bad. And look, the one that I'm referring to, the one in, I believe, New Hampshire with these letters going to Trump houses, Fox News was writing articles about it. And God knows, Laura Ingraham is probably gonna be talking about it tonight. It's very easy to distract from voter intimidation that's actually happening, the things that are really going on. This is such a simple thing. You send a couple of emails, you drop off a couple of letters, and you can make a story out of it, which makes me very hesitant. And not to say that it's not threatening to the people who receive them. They probably think that it's real and feel terrorized. I understand that. But I think we need big grains of salt.
Yeah, no, I think that you make a great point there. But here's the thing, if you're worried about voter intimidation, you don't even need to rely on this particular story because voter intimidation is happening in the flesh while people are showing up to in-person voting locations to vote early. So again, I want to reiterate that voter intimidation is a felony in the state of Florida. It's considered a third-degree felony. The Washington Post, though, is reporting that as many as 14 states have had complaints and experiences with voter intimidation. So for instance, in Florida, South Florida to be specific, there was a police officer who showed up to an in-person voting location wearing his uniform and also wearing a mask, which is a good thing. You want people to wear masks, right? Except it was a pro-Trump mask. And so the Miami-Dade County Dems, the head of the Miami-Dade County Dems, tweeted an image of the police officer and says, "Here is City of Miami police officer Daniel Ubeda in full uniform with badge and gun, wearing his Trump mask inside the polling location in Government Center. This is city-funded voter intimidation. Ubera should be suspended immediately. And so the police department actually did respond to this, and they said that it was inappropriate and that they're going to take appropriate action. Cops are not supposed to wear their uniforms while promoting any candidate, any one candidate. So if he did the same thing while wearing a Biden mask, that would be a problem. And the reason why is because a man in uniform, first of all, that's taxpayer money. He's on the job. We're not supposed to be paying county officials to promote any particular candidate in any type of race. But more importantly, it is a form of intimidation because you're talking about an armed cop who's showing up to an in-person voting location, very clearly promoting a candidate who has encouraged his supporters to intimidate others who aren't gonna vote for Trump. So there's a problem there. There are other cases, like in California, Baldwin Park to be specific. Someone decided to light a ballot drop-off box on fire. And so the ballots inside that box were destroyed. And county officials are saying, don't worry, we're gonna go ahead and send out new ballots to the people who had their ballots destroyed in this clear case of arson. But how are you gonna know who those ballots belong to? There were hundreds of ballots in there.
Yeah, there might be some, hypothetically, but there's almost certainly gonna be some that are lost. And that was the goal, not to destroy everything, but to cause enough problems. And the great thing when you do something like that, so let's say in that one, the example you gave, it was probably a right-winger based on the area they were targeting. And in California, we have the aforementioned ballot drop-off locations. So this is really a 2-for-1 for the right. They do these things that potentially interfere with the vote, whether burning ballots or getting people to drop it off and then they get rid of it. And if that works, that's great. But even if it doesn't work, it then becomes news. And even though it's clear, or at least relatively clear, that this is the right doing the manipulation, we're then obligated to report on it because we care about this. But then there's this sort of meta narrative that, oh, look, there are issues with the election. Sure, it's Republicans that are the ones doing it, but it still potentially feeds a little bit into the narrative they want going into election day, which is stuff is happening, who knows? And it really puts us in a difficult position in terms of how much focus we should have on these stories that are objectively important, but are also clearly being used to manipulate the electorate.
Yeah, exactly. And in polling locations throughout the country, people are experiencing Trump supporters showing up, with giant flags. In some cases, they're showing up in like giant trucks that have the giant Trump flags, and they're yelling at people as they're waiting in line to vote. So again, we are seeing this across the country. It is a problem, and you don't need to simply rely on this one story that has to do with the Proud Boys allegedly sending out an email. We're seeing the intimidation in real time every single day. We see it on video, we see it with witness testimony, but it doesn't seem to change the behavior on the ground. We don't see any consequences for these people, and that's the frustrating part. Because not everyone is defiant, not everyone feels confident enough to walk through a crowd of Trump supporters to cast their ballot.
Yeah.
I encourage you to be brave and to be courageous and to cast your ballot. But I do worry about what this is doing to disenfranchise voters overall.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.